I'm Kimberly, Barba, and I decided to want to do kinetic sand. And what makes this sand different from your typical sand is that it's amazing properties. When looking at regular sand, when looking at kinetic sand, it appears as if it's wet and yet it never dries out. So this feature makes it fun to mold and to make things, and just fun for everyone, for parents, for kids, for anyone. And so you ask, what chemistry does it have behind kinetic sand? And so it is SiO2, which is a silicone atom and two oxygen atoms. Well, let's think of atoms, of course, and silicon atoms are larger than the hydrogen nearby, which is why it appears wet and also as if it's in a way regular sand. And let's talk about the ingredients. The ingredients are obviously sand, just regular sand, which I purchased at Joann's. I purchased this bag, and it almost seems like white sand, like sugar, but it's not, obviously it's sand. And I also bought cornstarch and also white glue, but you could also use clear glue. And in another bowl, you could add water with soap, and it becomes soapy water. So, and also, I almost forgot, also, I bought this, it's silicone oil, and I bought this one at Home Depot. And if you would like color onto the kinetic sand, you could just use food coloring. So let me get started. So first, you would have to put a good amount of sand. And then after you I used maybe like 5 spoons of cornstarch. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then you start mixing it together. You mix it really well. After you mix that together, you mix the water with soap until it's some kind of soapy, until you see a little bit of bubbles. And for soap, I use dish soap, or sometimes you could use like detergent, but I use dish soap. And then you mix it, put it in there, and then you start mixing. almost gonna look like pancake mix. And if you see that it's too soapy, like runny, then you could always just add a little bit more of your cornstarch or your sand. So what I'm gonna do is just try and get as much mixing in there. I just find this more easier than using my hands, but you could always just use your hands. So see how like it's kind of runny. If you would have to use more cornstarch, then you would just put more cornstarch. So I'll just put 2 spoons. So what cornstarch does to the sand is makes it a little more clumpier. So do you see how it's just like becoming a little more clumpier? And then I'll just use my hands for this. You just want to mix it all together really well. And it's almost coming along. After, what I do is I put a little bit of silicone oil. And for it to stick a little more together, then that's when you put glue. So the glue is pretty much almost like as if you're gonna make slime. It's just pretty much for it to stick together. And the silicone, I noticed that it makes it more silkier. And obviously it's not gonna work the very first time that you try and make kinetic sand. I personally had to do 3 tries. So the first time I used different sand. I used sand from, I believe I went to Lowe's, and in the garden department I purchased the sand there, and it was way off. It had too many rocks. So that was a fail the first time. And then the second time I used the same ingredients that I'm using right now, but I didn't do it the way that I'm doing it right now, where I put the sand first and then had the soapy water, and it was just really runny, really bad. And then the third time that I made it, it just became a little more softer, and it wasn't sticking onto my hands as much. And that was the success right there, the third time. So what I'm gonna do right now is try and play with it as much as I can, just because I want it to stick together. But do you see how it's almost getting there to where I want it to be? So right now I feel that I would have to put a little bit more cornstarch. Just a little. And then a little bit of silicone oil. And then just mix. Because you don't want it too hard. And I mean, it is a little messy, but towards the end, when you just continue to play with it, it gets less messy. So what I like to do is just put it all together. And it just starts working its way together. So I just try and play with it. I feel like I probably need a little more. Actually, I think it's good. Now, if you would like to add color, you could always just add whatever color you like. I would want, let's try red, just to see how it looks. So I'll just put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drops. And then just mix it. And the reason why I chose to want to do Kinetic Sand was because I didn't want to do your typical slime. And I just felt that my kids would enjoy it if I were to make something different than your typical slime. And actually I had my son help me out with the project, which was pretty fun because he enjoys chemistry even though he has no clue how it is, but he tried and it was really fun. It was just really fun to do this project with him, and I just hope that he continues with his interest in chemistry. And so, like right here, then what you would do is just pretty much, if you want it darker, you would just put more. So I would just put more food coloring. Almost there. It's almost like pink instead of red, but that's okay. So I'm just trying to get everything mixed up really well. You just have to continue to play with it as much as you can. I think that has a lot to do. Also, leaving it on the pan for, I believe, like a couple of hours might make a difference as well. So it's just like you're making it right now, and it's just really since the heat in your hands typically just kind of like doesn't help as much either. So what I did too is I tried playing with it as much as I can, and then just leave it on there. So right now it's sticking on there already. Okay. So this is pretty much how you make kinetic sand. Hope you enjoyed my video. Thank you.